Welcome to the Hufflepuffers podcast
with Tasia
and Becca,
where we talk about all things Potter.
Hey Hufflepuffers, it's Becca and Okay, so we're back for episode 3.
Hooray!
Finally. Sorry you've been waiting so long, but we'll tell you why when we get to the Quibbler. Now, Tasia, you can introduce our first segment.
So, our first segment is the Quibbler!
The Quibbler!
Yay! This is where we talk about all things that we know about our channel and the wizarding world. And started up, Rebecca, would you like to do the honors?
No, because I don't remember what the honors are.
About our channel, and subscribers.
We have 12 subscribers!
Hooray! Thank you, everyone.
That was so enthusiastic, Tasha. I mean, my mind is blown.
Thank you, everyone!
You were just like, hooray! Okay. So, we haven't, did any videos for a while because we had plans to record in person, but they were delayed because of COVID. So, we decided that we're going to continue to record over the phone. So, that's what we're doing.
Yes. Sorry if you can't hear me.
Yeah, I forget where the microphone on it is. Oh, found it. Yeah, this is going to be hard to hold the phone up like this the whole time. Let's tilt the computer a bit.
So, speaking of COVID, I wonder how the wizards would be handling all of this.
Yeah. Can they even catch COVID, though, because they're wizards?
Yeah, but they can get sick, so how does it affect them?
Yeah, but when they get sick weird.
Exactly. So I'm just so curious about how this would affect the wizards.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they would all be really sad.
Very, yeah.
But they'd just be sending owls to each other. Because it'd be even more difficult for them to keep in contact with each other because apparently they have no technology in the wizarding world. But I feel like would change now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because it's been a while since Harry Potter took place.
Yeah. But it was even weird then because there was technology in the 90s.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm sure they just take a while to get used to new things, so I'm sure they're up with us now.
Almost. They're probably just a bit behind us. They're probably only at iPhone 8.
Probably.
That's their technology system. They're just a bit behind us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on in the world, hasn't there? And there's sure lots in the wizarding world.
Yeah. So, is that all for the Quibbler today?
Yeah, I think that's everything. Actually, I wanted to say one last thing.
Oh.
So, obviously, J.K. Rowling, she's trash, and we don't support her. But,
not at all.
Sometimes Harry Potter came into our world in difficult times, and right now we all need a little happiness, and she's not gaining anything from doing this. We're just gaining smiles. So, yeah. I think that's all for the Quibbler.
Oh, I've got one last thing, too.
So, what's left?
For anyone watching this in the future, way far ahead, if you're just looking through YouTube and then you found a channel and you're like, oh, this is neat, but say this is 10 years ahead, and then, so we're talking and you're like, what the heck's a COVID? Well, people, COVID is the worst thing in the entire world. It's a pandemic. We're locked in our houses and people are getting sick. So, and we have to do homeschool. Well, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So for anyone that was so confused about that, because I know there's probably someone watching that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Global pandemic. Crazy.
So anyway, now Tasha will introduce our next segment, because I don't have the list with all the segments, considering how long it is that we've done this, and Tasha's the only one that has the list.
So, our next segment is Oswald's Library.
And today we have a special double chapter.
Hooray! So,
Hooray!
Rebecca will be doing the reading today.
Which means my voice will be so tired by the time I'm done. Okay. So flip your books open, if you have them, to Chapter 3, The Letters from No One.
Enjoy Rebecca's voices. She's really great at them.
Wait, hold on. We still have to read Chapter 2, don't we?
No, we read 1 and 2.
We did?
We read one in each thing.
But in Episode 1, we didn't read one.
Okay, never mind then. I guess we're on Chapter 2.
Okay, open your books to Chapter 2 then. So confused. Okay, so why we're so confused is we thought we recorded another episode, but it turned out that was just what we were originally going to name our second episode. So we're very confused right now. And we've been
got
prepping.
A little lost.
And so it's 1:08 in the morning, and we've been prepping since like 12 o'clock. Alright, so. Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Open up your books. I'll wait a minute. This is the opening book sound.
That was magical.
It does, doesn't it? It's actually me flipping the pages in the book. Here's another one. Very nice. Okay, I think everyone's opened their books by now, probably. Unless they take 2 hours to open their books. So, nearly 10 years had passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step. But Privet Drive I'm only going to be able to read one chapter. Can barely talk today. So, we'll do a double chapter next week. Sorry to get you all excited for nothing. Nearly 10 years have passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step of Privet Drive. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time would pass. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like a large pink beach ball, wearing different colored bobble hats. Tasha, look up what a bobble hat is. But Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby. And now the photograph showed a large blond boy riding his first bicycle on a roundabout at a fair, playing a computer game with his father being had to kiss by his mother. The room held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house too. Yet Harry Potter was still there, asleep at the moment, but not for long. His Aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice which made the first noise of the day. Up! Get up now! Harry woke with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. Up! She screeched. Harry heard her walking towards the kitchen, then the sound of the frying pan being put on the cooker. He rolled on to his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. He had a funny feeling he'd had the same dream before. His aunt was back outside the door. Are you up yet? She demanded. Nearly, said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon, and don't you dare let it burn. I want everything to be perfect on Daddy's birthday. Harry groaned. "What did you say?" His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing. Dudley's birthday. How could he have forgotten? Harry got slowly out of bed and started looking for socks. He found a pair underneath his bed. After pulling a spider off one of them, put them on. Harry was used to spiders because of the cupboard under the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. When he was dressed, he went down the hall into the kitchen. The table was almost hidden beneath all Dudley's birthday presents. It looked as though Dudley had got a new computer, exactly what he wanted. Oh, the new computer he wanted. Not to mention the second television and the racing bike. Exactly why Dudley wanted a racing bike was a mystery to Harry, as Dudley was very fat and hated exercise, unless of course it involved punching somebody. Dudley's favorite punching bag was Harry, but he couldn't often catch him. Harry didn't look it, but he was very fast. Perhaps it had something to do with living in a dark cupboard. Harry had always been small and skinny for his age. He looked even smaller and skinnier than he really was, because of all he had to wear were old clothes of Dudley's, and Dudley was about 4 times bigger than he was. Harry had a thin face, knobbly knees, black hair, and bright green eyes. He wore round glasses held together with a lot of sellotape, because of all the times Dudley had punched him in the nose. The only thing Harry liked about his appearance was a very thin scar on his forehead, which was shaped like a bolt of lightning. He had it as long as he could remember. And the first question he could remember asking his Aunt Petunia was how he got it. "In a car crash where your parents died." Don't ask questions," she had said. "Don't ask questions" was the first rule for a quiet life with the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen. Harry was turning over the bacon. "Comb your hair," he barked. By way of a morning greeting, about once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together, but it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way, all over the place. Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair laying smoothly on his thick fat head. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Harry put the plates of egg and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. 36, he said, looking up at his mother and father. "That's 2 less than last year." "Darling, you haven't counted Aunt Margie's presents. See? It's right here under this big one from Mommy and Daddy." "All right, 37 then," said Dudley, going red in the face. Harry, who could see the huge Dudley tantrum coming on, began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible in case Dudley turned over the table. Aunt Petunia obviously sensed danger too, because she quickly said, "We'll buy you another 2 presents when we're out today. How's that, Popkin? 2 more presents, is that all right?" Dudley thought for a moment. It looked like hard work. Finally, he said slowly, "So I'll have 39, sweetheart," said Aunt Petunia. "Oh," said Dudley, and sat down and grabbed the nearest parcel. "All right, then." Uncle Vernon chuckled. Little Tyke wants his money worth, just like his father. Attaboy, Dudley. He ruffled Dudley's hair. At that moment the telephone rang, and Aunt Petunia went to answer it. While Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike, a sign camera, a remote control airplane, 16 new computer games, and a video recorder. He was ripping the paper off of a gold wristwatch when Aunt Petunia came back from the telephone, looking both angry and worried. Bad news, Vernon, she said. Mrs. Figgs broke her leg. She can't take him. She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day to adventure parks, hamburger bars, or the cinema. Every year Harry was left behind with Mrs. Figg, a mad old lady who lives 2 streets away. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled like cabbage. And Mrs. Figg made him look at photographs of all the cats she'd ever owned. Now what? Aunt Petunia said, looking furiously at Harry, as though he'd planned this. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry that Mrs. Figg had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole other year again before he had to look at Tibble, Snowy, Mr. Paws, and Tuffy again. We could phone Marge, Uncle Vernon suggested. Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates that boy. The Dursleys often spoke of Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather, as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand him, like a slug. What about, what's her name, your friend, Yvonne? On holiday, Margarita, snapped Aunt Petunia. You could just leave me here, Harry put in hopefully. He'd be able to watch whatever he wanted on the television for a change, and maybe even go on Dudley's computer. Aunt Petunia looked as though she'd just swallowed a lemon. And come back to find the house in ruins, she snarled. I won't blow up the house, said Harry, but they weren't listening. I suppose we could take him to the zoo, said Aunt Petunia slowly, and leave him in the car. That car's new. He's not sitting in it alone. Dudley began to cry loudly. In fact, he wasn't really crying. It had been years since he really cried, but he knew if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him anything he wanted. Dinky Duddy Dums, don't cry. Mummy won't let him spoil your special day, she cried, flinging her arms around him. I don't want him to come, Dudley yelled between huge pretend saws. He always spoiled everything. He shot Harry a nasty grin through the gap in his mother's arm. Just then the doorbell rang. Oh, good Lord, they're here, said Aunt Petunia frantically. A moment later, Dudley's best friend, Piers Polkiss, walked in with his mother. Piers was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. He was usually the one who held people's arms behind their back while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry at once. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting behind in the back of the Dursleys' car with Piers and Dudley, on the way to the zoo for the first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with them, but before they left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. I'm warning you, he said, putting his large purple face right up close to Harry. I'm warning you now, boy. Any funny business, anything at all, you'll be in the cupboard from now till Christmas. I'm not going to do anything, Harry said. Honestly. But Uncle Vernon didn't believe him. No one ever did. The problem was, strange things often happened around Harry, and it was just no good telling the Dursleys he didn't make them happen. Once Aunt Petunia tired of Harry coming back from the barber, looking as though he hadn't been all, had taken a pair of kitchen scissors and cut his hair so short it was almost bald except for his fringe, which she left to hide that horrible scar. Dudley had laughed silly at Harry, who spent a sleepless night imagining school the next way. He was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and sellotape glasses. The next morning, however, he got up to find his hair exactly as it had been before Aunt Petunia sheared it off. He had been given a week in the cover for this, even though he had tried to explain he couldn't explain how it had grown back so quickly. Another time Aunt Petunia had been trying to force him into a revolting old jumper of Dudley's, brown with orange baubles. Once again with the word bobble. Seriously. The harder she tried to pull it over his head, the smaller it seemed to become, until it might have fitted a glove puppet, but certainly wouldn't fit Harry. Aunt Petunia had decided it must have shrunk in the wash. To his great relief, Harry wasn't punished. On the other hand, he got into trouble for being found on the roof of the school kitchen. Dudley's gang had been chasing him. As usual, when, as much to Harry's surprise as anyone else's, he was sitting on the chimney. The Dursleys had received a very angry letter from Harry's headmistress telling them Harry had been climbing school buildings, but all he tried to do, as he shouted at Uncle Vernon through the locked door of his cupboard, was jump behind the bins outside the kitchen doors. Harry supposed the wind must have caught him in mid-jump. Seriously, Harry? Seriously? But today nothing was going to go wrong. It was even worth being with Dudley and Peter, spending the day somewhere that wasn't school, his cupboard or Mrs. Fig's cabbage-smelling living room. While he drove, Uncle Vernon complained to Aunt Petunia. He liked to complain about things. People at work, Harry. Council, Harry. The bank, Harry. Were just a few of his favorite subjects. This morning it was motorbikes, roaring along like maniacs. "The young hoodlums," he said as a motorbike overtook them. "I had a dream about a motorbike," Harry said, remembering. It was flying. Uncle Vernon nearly crashed into the car in front. He turned right around in the seat and yelled, his face like a gigantic beetroot with a mustache, "Motorbikes don't fly!" Dudley and Peter sniggered. "I know they don't," said Harry. "It was only a dream." He wished he hadn't said anything. If there was one thing the Dursleys hated even more than asking questions, was talking about anything, acting in any way it shouldn't, no matter if it was a dream or even a cartoon. They seemed to think he might get dangerous ideas. It was a very sunny Saturday, and the zoo was crowded with families. The Dursleys bought Dudley and Peter's large chocolate ice creams at the entrance, and then, because the smiling lady in the van had asked them what he wanted before they could hurry him away, they bought him a cheap lemon ice holly. It wasn't bad either, Harry thought, looking it as they watched the gorilla scratching his head and looking remarkably like Dudley, except that it wasn't blonde. Harry had the best morning he'd had in a long time, and he was careful to walk a little way apart from the Dursleys, so that Dudley and Peter, who were starting to get bored with the animal friend last night, wouldn't fall back on their favorite hobby of hitting him. They ate in the zoo restaurant when Dudley had a tantrum because his Knickerbocker glory wasn't big enough. Uncle Vernon bought him another one. Wait. What's a knickerbocker?
I think it's just like the ice cream he was eating.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Uncle Vernon bought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. Harry felt afterwards that he should have known it was all too good to last. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in here, with lit windows all along the walls behind the glass. All sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Peter wanted to see the huge poisonous cobras and big man-crushing pythons. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could have wrapped itself. Sorry, I lost my place. Largest snake in. It could have wrapped its body twice around Uncle Vernon's cart and crushed it into a dustbin. But at the moment, it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was fast asleep. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass and staring at the glistening brown coils. "Make it move!" he whined at his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. "Do it again!" Dudley ordered. Uncle Vernon rapped the glass smartly with his knuckles, but the snake snoozed on. "This is boring," Dudley moaned. He shuffled away. Harry moved in front of the tank and looked intently at the snake. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom itself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass, trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia hammering on the door to wake you up. At least he got to visit the rest of the house. The snake suddenly opened its beady eyes very slowly. It raised its head until it was on level with Harry's. It winked. Harry stared. They looked quickly around to see if anyone was watching. They weren't. He looked back at the snake and winked too. The snake jerked its head towards Uncle Vernon and Dudley, then raised its eyes to the ceiling. It gave Harry a look that quite plainly said, "I get that all the time." "I know," Harry murmured through the glass. He wasn't sure the snake could hear him. "It must be really annoying." The snake nodded vigorously. "Where do you come from, anyway?" Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at the little sign next to the glass, and Harry peered at it. "Bow Constructor, Brazil. Was it nice there?" The bow constructor jabbed its tail again at the sign, and Harry read on. "The specimen was bred at the zoo." Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil?" asked the snake. As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made them both jump. "Dudley! Mr. Dudley, come look! And look at the snake! You won't believe what it's doing!" Dudley came waddling towards them as fast as he could. "Out of the way, you!" he said, punching Harry in the ribs. Caught by surprise, Harry fell hard on the concrete floor. And what came next happened so fast, no one saw how it happened. 1 second, Peter and Dudley were leaning right up close to the glass. The next, they had left back with howls of horror. Harry sat up and gasped. The glass in front of the boa constrictor's tank had vanished. The great snake was uncoiling itself rapidly, slithering out onto the floor. People throughout the reptile house screamed and started running for the exit as the snake slid swiftly past them. Harry could have sworn a low hissing voice said, "Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo." The keeper of the reptile house was in shock. "But the glass," he kept saying. "Where did it go?" The zoo director himself had made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong sweet tea, while he apologized over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Pierce and Dudley could only gibber. As far as Harry had seen, the snake hadn't done anything except snap playfully at their heels as it passed. But by the time they were all back in Uncle Vernon's car, Dudley was telling them how it had nearly bitten off his leg, while Pierre was swearing it had tried to squeeze him to death. But worst of all for Harry, at least, with Pierce calming down enough to say, "Harry was talking to it, weren't you, Harry?" Uncle Vernon waited until Pierce safely got out of the car Pierce was safely out of the house before starting on Harry. He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, "Go, cupboard, stay, no, meals," before he collapsed into a chair and Aunt Petunia had run to get him a large brandy. Harry lay in the dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was. He couldn't be sure the Dursleys were asleep yet. Until they were, he couldn't risk sneaking into the kitchen for some food. He lived for the Dursleys almost 10 years, 10 miserable years, as long as he could remember, ever since he had been a baby and his parents died in that car crash. He hadn't remembered being in the car with his parents had died. Sometimes when he strained his memory during long hours in his cupboard, he came up with a strange vision, a blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead. This he supposed was the crash, though he couldn't imagine where all the green light came from. He couldn't remember his parents at all. His aunt and uncle never spoke about them. And, of course, he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. When Harry had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it never happened. The Dursleys were his only family. Yet sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, the strangers in the street seemed to know him. Very strange strangers they were, too. A tiny man in a violet top had bowed to him once while out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley. After asking Harry furiously if he knew that man, Aunt Petunia rushed them out of the shop without buying anything. A wild-looking old woman, and dressed in all green, had waved merrily at him once on the bus. A bald man in a very long purple coat had shaken his hand in the street the other day, and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people was the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get a closer look. At school, Harry had no one. Everybody that knew that Dudley's gang hated that odd Harry Potter in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses, and no one liked to disagree with Dudley's gang. Okay, all done.
Awesome. Okay, I was writing down points while we were going, so I'm gonna read them out. So, firstly, it was the wind. Harry, you're not that dumb. Why would you believe it was?
No.
That even worse. Poor little guy. And then, oh my goodness, it was so sad when they were out shopping and he got the rest of the ice cream and he was like, "Oh, Harry knew it was too good to last." Like, Harry, that wasn't even a good situation. I was like, poor guy.
Aww.
Feel so bad for Harry. But yeah, and then Dudley, he's so irritating this book. Like, everything he does is so annoying.
Yes. Oh, don't worry, everyone. We eventually grow to like Dudley.
Yeah, I think his redemption in the end was well earned, but he's so annoying right now.
That made me cry. I swear, that made me cry.
Yeah, honestly, same. But yeah, I also think instead of Pierce being the one who was like, he's talking to the snake, that should have been Dudley, like it was in the movie, because we don't know who Pierce is. So I just think it would have made sense.
I do think it should have been Pierce, because if Dudley would have said it, it would have been like, it just would have, like, Dudley's too dumb to notice. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
He would have
No, I get what you're saying, but just from like a story, I guess I'm thinking of it how they got rid of Pierce in the movie, and I think that was a good call because we don't know him. So maybe I guess that's just what I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I can see what you mean.
They only show Pierce once in the movie.
Yeah.
The entire movies, when they're at the park and Dudley's bullying Harry. I think it's in the 5th book.
Yeah, I think so. And that's when the Dementors appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my last thing was, I think this chapter should have ended with that they vanished the second Harry tried to get a look, that line, because I didn't really understand what the point of having the ending line about how the ending paragraph, but like how Harry is at school and nobody did agree with Dudley's gang.
Yeah.
We looked that earlier, so it felt like a weird ending to the chapter too.
Yeah, I think it should have ended with closer look part.
Yeah.
Because it didn't really make a lot of sense to keep going.
Yeah, those were my thoughts on the chapter. What were you thinking as you were reading?
I'm thinking, what the heck is a bobble?
Oh, I will send you a picture of it. I found it. It's basically just a hat with a pom-pom on it.
Oh, so bobbles are pom-poms.
Yeah. So I just sent you a picture.
Okay, thank you.
On Messenger.
Why does Dudley have so many clothes with pom-poms on them?
I know. They give him some weird food, don't they?
Yeah. Okay, I got your picture. Let me go check it. Ah! That was Tasha falling. Are you okay, Tasha? Do you need CPR?
My arm is broken.
Oh, so that's what it is.
Yeah, isn't it kind of cute? To see a little baby wearing it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Dudley seems like he was a cute baby.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be right back in 1 second. So that's why it's going to be a bit glitchy in this part. Because it's time for everyone's favorite segment, bathroom break. Bye!
Bye!
Okay, we're back from our bathroom break. That was very fast.
And we're moving on to Hogwarts alumni.
Drum roll, please. Okay, so this would normally be the part if we had a fan coming on that they would that we would show them. But so far we don't have any. So I don't remember what else we do in this segment, so I'll send that to Tasha.
Yeah, so here's when we talk about fan theories, talk to fans, and they'll give us what they thought about the chapter and different things like that. But now, with the chapter that happened, I don't have any fan theories, but I think Becca wanted to share one of her favorite theories that she's probably going to mention every episode. So
yes, I will mention it every episode, and I have mentioned it every episode. But my favorite fan theory is that Crookshanks, Hermione's cat, what used to be the Potter's cat. I don't even remember where I read this anymore, but it's my favorite theory.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it would work. I think why wouldn't it be? I like that a lot.
I don't think we have anything else for it today, unless Tasha thought of something.
No. So, we'll move on to my favorite segment, Questioning Quirrell.
Why is this your favorite segment? That's your first question.
I don't even like trivia because I'm bad at it, but I'm just so obsessed with this. I think I just really like the name.
In the past episodes, we sort of just ask each other questions about sort of what we thought of the chapter.
Yeah.
And we also are gonna we're gonna ask you guys some trivia questions, and so you can post your answers, post them on our Instagram, on our Facebook, send them us through email, put them in the comments.
And we'll reveal the answers next episode.
Yes, which we forgot to do every time so far, but this is our first time doing sort of more trivia.
Yeah, and we're also each going to give each other a trivia question.
Yes, which is exciting.
So, any questions you had during the chapter?
Okay, a question for you. Why do you think Harry thinks that the wind carried him? Just why?
I think he's just trying to explain away something he can't explain. It happened when he was really young. Because I'm assuming it didn't happen, like, now. I'm assuming it happened, like, a few years ago, like, maybe when he was, like, 10 or something. So
he is 10 right now.
Oh, but he is 10 right now. I don't know why in my head I was like, he's 12, obviously. No. Okay.
Because I'm 12, obviously.
2 years before. And I think he just, he didn't know what was happening. He doesn't know that magic's real. So the only way he could really explain it was it's the wind. Yeah.
Especially because the Dursleys don't tell him anything. So what would he know?
Yeah.
His only real place where he learned stuff is school.
No. Poor Harry.
Yeah. So, now you ask me a question. Sort of like that.
Okay. Why do you think that Dudley is so irritating this book? Literally, he was being so annoying.
Because he's Dudley. He doesn't know any better. It's his parents' fault.
I know.
He's been raised in like such a hostile environment that even if Harry was their son, say like Harry was their son and it wasn't Dudley, then Harry would be just as bad as Dudley, considering the environment he'd been raised in. And he has been raised in this environment, but like they treat him differently, so.
Yeah, maybe, because obviously this brings up the whole nurture versus nature thing, because that's the thing, it's another point in like is Snape the worst character, and like, would Draco be better if he was in a situation like Harry? Do you know how people are always asking that? Because like Draco was raised by terrible people, and he was a terrible person. But Harry was raised by terrible people, but he was neglected by them. So I don't know. I just find it all very fascinating.
Yeah, but that just brings us sort of into real life. That's not even part of like the whole story.
Yeah.
Like that's just how things work. Like people are like affected a lot by like who they're around and stuff. But we're sort of getting off topic, I think.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so.
But by the way, everyone, Snape is the worst character.
He's the worst.
Is. No question about it.
Why do people like him? I don't understand.
And now, I'd just like to bring up something which is not even part of the segment. I'd just like to apologize for all the weird stuff we said in the past episodes.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah. But we were just...
let's move on to trivia.
Okay, so... Tasha, you ask me a trivia question, and then I'll ask you one. And then we'll get the trivias of the week.
What ice cream treat did Harry receive in this chapter?
A Bobble treat.
Oh, actually, that's true, because he did end up getting the rest of it. And I should have been more specific in my question. The answer I was looking for was the iced lemon pop.
Oh. I called it a Bobble treat because everything Dudley does / has is a bobble.
No. Okay. Your turn.
Okay. So my question for you is a general question. Oh, what? 1 second. Oh, how do first-year students travel from Hogsmeade Station to Hogwarts Castle?
How do they travel? They go on the boat thingy.
Correct.
Yay!
This is in my Hogwarts Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit.
I like that question. I got it right.
The other night, when Tasia came over, we were using old Halloween candy, and we were playing this game. So we'd ask each other questions, and if we got the question right, we get to take a candy. If we got it wrong, we didn't get to take a candy that turn. And I was crushing Tasia so bad.
Look at so many questions wrong. I think that's why I need to read these books, because I was not doing great. I couldn't remember the simplest things.
I was going through a bunch of questions the other night, and I got 90% of them wrong. I couldn't remember anything, but that's probably because it was pretty late at night and I was exhausted.
Yeah. Now let's see how much you guys remember, so you can stop judging us.
Most of these are more general knowledge questions, so if you have a general knowledge of Harry Potter, then you'll be able to answer these.
I'm just going to ask 3 questions, okay?
Okay.
So.
Drum roll, please. Question 1 is... What is Harry Potter's last name?
What is... No! Dude, those are 3 I was going to read. 4 places in the Harry Potter universe.
How many do we have to name?
4 places.
4 places, people. 4 places.
Number 2. Where is the Slytherin common room located?
They're not going to know that. They don't even know what a Slytherin is.
Right. We'll not do that one. Number 2. What is the name of Harry Potter's beloved snowy owl?
He hasn't even got it yet.
Okay, you come up with the next question.
You're reading them. But yeah, they can do the snowy owl one. That one's easy.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Okay. And number 3. What was the date Voldemort fell for the first time?
I don't even know that one, by the way.
But that one they should know because it's announced in the first chapter.
It is?
We will find out.
Oh. I have the worst memory in the whole world.
Okay.
Dude, we just read the first chapter 2 months ago, and I don't even remember it.
And I understand. That one will be the tricky one. We'll see if anyone can get it.
Hey, Tasha, did we start recording during COVID or before COVID?
Before, I think. Yeah, pretty sure it's before. Right before, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll see how many of those you can get. We'll reveal the answers next week. So our next segment is, drum roll, If We Were Wizards.
Oh, but in 5, we gotta wait a bit, so first we'll talk about the Yule Ball, because in 5 minutes our next segment starts, the Yule Ball.
Yes.
So, Tasha, can you explain the concept of the Yule Ball to all our fans?
The Yule Ball is it's essentially a Christmas dance, and it's super fancy, and Hogwarts gets all beautiful and Christmassy, and it's so much fun.
You have to be 4th year or higher to attend, unless you're invited by someone in the 4th year or higher.
Yeah, and they only do this 1 year because they only have the Yule Ball because of the
Tri-Wizard Tournament.
Yes.
Or what I call the Quadruple Wizard Tournament.
Yeah, true.
It's in 4th book, The Goblet of Fire, just so you know. And I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. I'm sorry for annoying you. I know that would annoy me if I was only on the first book.
Yeah. So it'll be a while before we get that.
I'm so sorry. You're going to be wondering what I mean by that until you reach that book. I'm so very sorry.
Becca, I'm sure we can do the If I Were a Wizard segment before the Your Ball. Well,
Okay.
probably not too much about it.
Alright, so if I were a wizard. So what did we tell about our wizards last time?
Last time we talked about our characters and our names and who they were. I'm not going to lie, I forget my characters, so I think we'll have to make up a new one.
Oh, well, I remember my character because it's the only my Hogwarts Elias I used.
Yeah.
So we should start. I say you can talk about like your overall character, and then we'll talk about our characters' childhoods, like their birthdays and stuff.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell me about your characters overall, and I'll talk about mine too again because I don't even remember what I used last time.
Okay. Well, why don't you go first? Because I really don't remember my character at all.
Okay, so my character's name is Becca Moon. She doesn't have a particular age because she's growing up with us. Basically, she sort of jumps around. But this year she would be same age as me, 12. And her birthday is August 3rd. Not same as me. And so she is Muggle born. And she grew up. Well, I can't talk about this yet because this is her childhood. And how about we do the childhood next week? Because I feel like I need to figure out more about your character before we can talk about the childhood. But anyway, her favorite color is purple and yellow. And she's just awesome and she's really brave and she's a Hufflepuff. And she's also the seeker for her Quidditch team. The Hufflepuff Quidditch team. And she's got the power!
Awesome.
I don't know why I added that. I just felt like it.
It was great.
Okay. And now, Tasha?
Literally has the power.
Now, Tasha, you make up a character and make notes while you do it, so next time you'll remember.
Okay. My character is Alana, and she's a wizard. Both her parents are wizards, too.
You mean witch?
Yeah, she's a witch, I mean. And
it's called the Wizarding World. Why not the Witching World?
I know, right?
Witch power!
Witches just are more fun, too.
Yeah.
Than wizards. They have fun gothic energy. So, she loves everything to do with magic, and sometimes gets in trouble for doing spells when she's not supposed to. She is excited for school, specifically Care of Magical Creatures and Potions class.
Oh.
She's not great at making friends, but...
What wizard is?
Like sports.
What witch
She doesn't have any plans of being on the Quidditch team, but she'll go to support. And
her best friend is Becca Moon.
Her best friend is Becca Moon, and she's a Hufflepuff.
And they're in the same dorm, and they're best friends.
Yeah.
I love how mine's the same age as me, but yours is like a bunch of years younger.
I know. That's why she's not me.
Yeah.
I mean, she's my daughter.
Sure.
Okay. That wouldn't really work.
Because then you'd have a daughter the same age as me, which would be weird.
It's fine.
Honestly, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Because my character is born in the exact same year as me.
Yeah, it doesn't work in any way, but it's fine. This is just a made-up person who I know, apparently.
Oh, dear.
So we're almost on the Yule Ball.
I think we missed the Yule Ball.
Oh no. Okay, well
Because
today we're going to skip
fun.
it, but
Okay, I'll play a song for the Yule Ball.
here we go.
Okay, we're
Everyone
going.
get up and dance. Time to stretch your legs.
We're going on a trip, computer. Okay, I'm scared I'm gonna drop the computer. So, okay, let's go. I'll just put it at my desk. Ah, it's going all over the keyboard. The phone is going all over the keyboard.
Ah.
Okay, I'm putting you down. I'm putting you down. That was a fun trip. Okay, people. So this is a once and once only thing. Okay?
We're excited.
I have to stand up to do this. Is that right?
Oh, that was beautiful.
Now I hold the phone on my way back, so it's not going to go all over the keyboard.
That was amazing, Martha.
Thanks.
I hope everyone's dancing to that beautiful music.
Okay, so sometimes you couldn't hear Tasha that well because I had to hold the phone on the way back. So Tasha, could you please repeat the last thing you said? Sorry.
I said that was beautiful, Becca.
Thank you.
That everyone was dancing because I know I was. Not well, but I was dancing.
Sorry, I had to put the phone a bit away when I was getting back set up over here. So I'm just gonna hope that everything was heard okay. Ugh. I don't even know where the microphone is on this computer, so. Yeah.
Yeah, after that amazing interlude, we're going to move to our final segment from Hogwarts to Hollywood.
I don't even remember this segment, so.
This is where we complain about the movie, basically.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, that's funny.
The first movie, I don't have many complaints with the first movie because it's not the best movie, but I think it's adorable.
Yeah, like, it's a really good movie compared to all the other ones.
Yeah, and
I
love it.
They are the best movies ever. We just don't like them because we've read the books.
Yeah. And yeah, there's some things in the actual film that like they're not done great, but like I think the third movie is really well done, and I think the first one is my favorite because they're all just so adorable.
Yeah.
Young Emma Watson and everyone, they're just so cute.
Did you know that like most of them actresses / actors, the director had to train them? Well, at least Harry wasn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but I think it's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, they were going to have Harry wear contacts.
Yes, but Harry didn't like the contacts. So he told them that he wasn't going to wear the contacts. And then Harry didn't have green eyes, and it completely ruined everything.
No, I don't think so. I think it would have been fine if they just casted his woman who played his mom as someone who had the same eye color as Daniel Radcliffe, but they didn't. So
they must have already casted her, what I'm thinking is. They must have already casted her, and then they like started filming, and their contacts were bothering him, and they didn't want to go back to the casting phase.
But they could have had her wearing contacts, because she's an adult, you know? I understand why not Harry, because he was a child, and they were, like, hurting his eyes, but, like, if they were going to cast someone, like, the whole point of why everyone was like, oh, you look so much like your mother was because they have the same eyes, and that was, like, genuinely important to the story. But they either had, like, I don't think it's a problem that it wasn't green eyes specifically, as long as they should have either casted someone who had the same eye color or had the mom wear contacts, and that would have solved that problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in the book, because as I was saying earlier, they just have Dudley do the scene where he's like, Harry, you're wearing, and Harry was talking to the snake, and for the movie, I think that was a good call, because,
there's no point in bringing in another character that they're only going to show once in the whole entire movie.
Exactly, so that wouldn't have made sense, but, yeah.
And then because they wanted to put him in the 5th one too, they would have probably casted someone different because that person would have probably been busy doing something else.
Yeah, exactly.
A bigger role.
It would have been weird for one scene just to cast a random person when I'm like, he didn't really have any importance.
Yeah. But I feel like they should have shown more of the scenes at the zoo in the movie. Because I found the zoo part very interesting.
Yeah. And in the movie, didn't Dudley get locked in instead of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. He was trying to get out. And he was
what I didn't like in the movie is that they had the snake actually talking. Because they did, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like that. I like how it's done in the book where he's just motioning, and then at the end, he says the one line. And I think that's really funny.
Uh-huh. But I like how, what a big personality the snake has.
Yeah, I love the snake. Such an icon. My favorite character.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding. What's even funnier is that he was talking parcel tongue. He didn't even know.
Oh, but I'd like to announce something that I forgot to announce at the beginning.
What?
I will be starting a new segment called Witch Power, where we just talk about how awesome all the girl characters are. Oh, I have a complaint.
What's your complaint?
Ginny sucks in the movies.
Yeah, they don't give her a character.
Yeah. Well, that was my complaint. Thanks. Thank you very much.
They also kind of ruin Ron's character in the movie.
They do.
Yeah.
They take out all Hermione's scenes, so they have to give Ron Hermione's stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to give Hermione Ron stuff.
Yeah, Hermione Ron stuff. Then Ron just comes out as,
a doughhead?
Yeah,
Airhead, I mean.
It's just because he's the comic relief in the movie. But in the book, he's still the comic relief, but he's also smart and interesting, and it's really disappointing what they did to him.
What's the definition of comic relief, by the way? I want to use that word, but I never know if I'm using it the right way.
Comic relief basically means that so it's a character in a media who is there just to make people laugh. It's kind of, when everything's really tense, they are there to kind of relieve some stress.
Oh. He's also sort of like the Ross in the movies.
The Ross? Like from Friends?
Yeah, because he makes everything seem so dramatic.
Ross is the worst. I can't compare Ron to Ross. I love Ross.
Yeah, we like Ron still, but he sort of has a few moments of Ross where he just makes things dramatic.
I guess I see what you mean.
Like in the 4th book when he gets jealous of Harry. Oh my gosh. It's so annoying when the Golden Trio's fighting.
I know.
I'm just like, if these people are gonna fight, then just show us Neville, Luna, and Ginny instead. They don't fight.
Like, literally all I want is a book, like, it's the last book, but in Luna, Ginny, and,
Neville.
Neville's perspective. So I
Me
just
too.
Yeah.
The two of those are like my favorite characters right there.
Yeah, I love all of them.
I seriously, for my my profile pictures, I just have Ginny and Luna and Hermione. Like, they're all my profile pictures.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So, that's all I have to say about From Hogwarts to Hollywood. So, could you tell us about your segment, Witch's Power?
Okay, we're not going to start this week because we've already went over an hour.
Oh my goodness, we did.
But we'll start next week. So it's sort of just about like we talk about how the girls are like the best in the books and stuff, and how awesome witches are, and how unfair it is that they like try to cut the girl characters from the movies and stuff.
Get into a lot next week, but for now, I think it's gotta wrap up.
What was our last segment again? Just
That was
wondering.
the last segment from Hogwarts to Hollywood.
I always forget that.
You know.
But I guess we should just have to like thank everyone for listening and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you subscribe and watch our next episode. Like, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, even a tiny bit, subscribe.
Yes. Give the video a like.
Yeah.
We like you guys.
Oh, and one last thing. Keep watching our videos because the more public watch hours we get, the more chance we'll have to make money from this podcast. And when we make money from this podcast, we can start having contests where you can win stuff like, what did I say? You can win stickers, t-shirts, because when we make money, we buy stuff off of Canva. Because Canva rules. Peace. So watch our videos so you can win t-shirts. That's basically the thing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for watching, everybody. And we will see you in 1 or 2 weeks. Depending on when we have time to record the next episode. But bye, everyone. And bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. And remember, we'll be back.
Trust me. And subscribe below, too. Do that.